Hi, this is Nabila Rahman. I'm the Digital Transformation Strategist in United News of Bangladesh, UNB, and I've been holding leadership roles in the tech industry for many years. Today, I'm very excited to launch our 5th webinar of the Tech Collective, and the topic for today is augmented reality and virtual reality. If you like this episode, please like, comment, and share. Augmented reality uses a real-world setting, while virtual reality is completely virtual. AR users can control their presence in the real world. Virtual reality users are controlled by the system. VR requires a headset device, but AR can be accessed with a smartphone. AR enhances both the virtual and real world, while VR only enhances a fictional reality. And we will be learning more about it today with use cases, functionalities, challenges, etc. So without further ado, I'm very excited to introduce my co-host, Samuel Bretsfield, who you probably all know by now, who's a tech entrepreneur living in Bangladesh for many years, and will be co-hosting with me in this webinar. Sam, very excited to have you again. Please reintroduce yourself and our very special guest for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Nabila. It's so great. I'm so excited that we're doing our 4th webinar on augmented reality, virtual reality. Very excited again for the audience. My name is Sam Bretsfield, CEO of Be Global. I'd like you to please like and share and comment on these webinars. We love your feedback. The feedback that we've gotten so far has been phenomenal. It really helps us drive and shape the content for these webinars. Today, I'm really excited to introduce our special guest, Rudmeela Nawsheen. She is the CEO and founder of Config VR. Rudmeela and her team are working on cutting edge AR, VR solutions in this industry. She's an electrical engineer and a hardware and software developer who resides in Silicon Valley. Really excited to have you on today, Rudmeela. Thanks for joining the Tech Collective.
First of all, thank you, Nabila and Sam, for inviting me over today. It's a huge opportunity to me, and I'm honored to be here. And I'm really looking forward to a very interesting topic today, because I'm very passionate about this topic, and I would love to learn and talk more about it.
Absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit more about Config VR and talk to us a little bit about what your company does and
Sure.
what type of problems you're solving for?
Okay, so I started this company in 2016. It's called Config VR. We do augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, 3D modeling, game development, and we do 4K like process videos. So we actually show the whole process, how a single electronic device is built, something like that. So I started this almost 5 years back. I did my undergrad in electrical engineering, and I did my master's in digital communication and multimedia. So while doing my master's, I actually did a lot of Maya 3D modeling. That's when I learned about how AR and VR and how immersive this whole technology is. Actually, AR VR is beautiful. You can actually virtualize, and it's so immersive that whatever you can imagine, we can build it. So that's why my tagline is virtualize your vision. I also have another startup, which is called Configure Bot. It's a robotics and AI company. So my final goal is to actually tie up AR, VR, and robotics together, because I call it the 3 amigos. And with these 3 technologies, we can do wonders. And this is actually the future. So when I was doing my master's, I did my market research, and I found there's a huge market for AR, VR, XR, and my most favorite is mixed reality, which is AR and VR, because VR, we are actually enclosed in a space, and AR, we are using our phone, but mixed reality is a combination of both. So if you just wear a single pair of glasses, you can see like different VR stuff. So it's more like a holographic view that we use for mixed reality. The only challenge is the mixed reality headsets are very expensive, and we do only B2B business. So we don't have that kind of consumers in the market for AR and VR. So that becomes a challenge. But yeah, so Config VR we have clients globally, not only in Silicon Valley, but in Bangladesh and in other countries. I have employees from all around the world. So animation, 3D modeling, it's also wonderful that I love working with it.
Thank you. That was very insightful, Rudmeela, regarding you're doing so much. You said a lot of things. You're doing a lot of things, and you're doing it all over the world. And it's very inspiring to hear that you just don't want to be in Silicon Valley, but also, you're looking at Bangladesh market. So looking at Bangladesh market, where do you think the AR VR can go? And if you can give us some use cases for companies, for brands, for startups, for developers, where do you think it's going, and where do you want to take it?
Okay. So first of all, I want to take it where my AR, VR, and robotics can operate surgery. Like someone sitting in Stanford can operate a surgery in some medical hospitals in Bangladesh. That's where my vision is, my final vision. I am actually trying to create a global brand here, so that I want to represent a Bangladeshi-owned Silicon Valley company in the heart of Silicon Valley. So that's what my goal is. But coming back to AR and VR, there's a huge market. AR, VR, and are there? It's applicable to all kinds of industries, like say retail, medical, military, education, name it. AR and VR, like they're applicable to all kinds of industries. I would say there's a niche market in Bangladesh because first of all, the biggest challenge for us are the headsets. It's not readily available in Bangladesh. For AR, the challenge is that no one wants to hold their phone for a long time to see something, play something and see it. So whenever it comes to AR and VR, I think our biggest challenge are the headsets because it's not readily available. So the problem that we are trying to solve, like let's say in retail, so in retail where we can actually improve customer engagement, we can provide a personalized experience, we can increase customer satisfaction, we can enable marketing methods, new marketing methods, and facilitate employee training. So customer engagement is very important. That's one thing we always look at. Bangladesh, I say, let's say in retail space, Daraz, like Amazon, we have augmented reality already placed there. So even if you're buying a kettle, we can place it on our tabletop and see how the kettle's going to look. So like that, Daraz is a good shopping platform and an e-commerce platform that has gone big. I think they can use it there. Medical devices, medical training, nurse training. It's like there's huge amount of uses for architectural. We can do like even like customize before construction, before building something. We can show the client and see what things need to be changed before building it. So what that does is it actually reduces the cost of the architectural part. So just say, let's say medical phobias. We can use it for training our brains not to be scared of height, not to be scared of something. Pain management is also can be applicable, and it can be done through AR and so through VR. So like any industry, we call it, like we name it, AR and VR are applicable, but there's a huge lack of content, like good content. A lot of people complain of motion sickness. The content sometimes might not be right for so it takes a lot of study for us to build any kind of content. So if we don't build the content right, people might get dizzy from watching the VR stuff. So there are a lot of challenges, but there are pros and cons too. We can solve problems with AR, VR, and there's a huge market for it and a lot of use cases like makeup stuff. I'm sure Bangladesh is coming up with different kind of makeup. So like we use Snapchat uses AR. So they actually project, let's say like a MAC lipstick. We can try the color at home and see if we really want to buy it or not. So there are use cases, there are multiple use cases of AR and VR. The market needs to be more adaptive. People needs to more, they're not much customer awareness, I would say, because Bangladesh, they're not only in Bangladesh, actually, even globally, I've seen that for AR, VR, the awareness needs to be much more prominent to be more emerging into this market. And globally, I think it is going into the right direction, but Bangladesh, I think we are actually falling a little behind in AR, VR, because first of all, it's expensive and headsets are not available. So people are not getting the access to it as much as we would like from our side.
Also, I feel like the headsets is also a barrier because there's dizzy and motion sickness. You read all these things. I mean, I don't want a big Oculus headset on my thing and doing an operation or training for being a nurse or whatever, right? So I think that the VR itself is the technologically is not, how do I say it? It's very invasive. It's not like, it's not seamless yet, because there is this headset, there is this, there is like a barrier, I feel, because, for a regular person like me who wants to be probably a nurse, or I want to be a teacher and I want to do a teacher's training and I have to wear this headset, I may not, expenses, yes, accessibility, yes, but putting it there for a few hours is also a challenge, I feel, because you feel suffocated.
exactly.
So I don't think technology itself is seamless enough yet in the global market.
That's why actually Facebook, Google, Amazon, everyone's actually investing a huge amount of money just to focus on how to make it lighter, how to make it more accessible. So that's why I love mixed reality a lot, because in mixed reality, you are connected with the real world. It's more like a holographic image between you and me that we can interact with. So my favorite is mixed reality. These are like small glasses. If you can try it out, like Microsoft has HoloLens, and there are other companies that are actually investing a lot in smart glasses. So those are much more preferable by the audience and by the clients. So I think more than VR, I myself personally prefer mixed reality, but it's still a little, so AR, and then comes VR, and then comes mixed reality. So it's very actually in that stage of moving to mixed reality.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time. I think before the Meta and all these, AR, VR has been around for a decade, I think, right? Because Google
No, it's
Glasses.
actually been around since like, I think early 90s, but
Yeah,
it was not in the mainstream. Yeah,
I
it was.
don't think it's still in the mainstream. Like everybody has a phone. Everybody understands. Like the NFT is coming, the Meta, because Facebook is using the word Meta. People are understanding the Web 3.0 and all that stuff. But I mean, people like me who is in the tech world, but I'm not creating AR VR. But I'm not seeing the need to buy a gadget or a glass, because what's the use for me? Or for somebody else, so like a student or a professor or whoever, like an entrepreneur. So I don't see the mainstream happening yet. I mean, people who are in their industries I'm not seeing it yet, because we've been talking about it, like you said, 2 decades now.
So VR is actually missing like two technology elements for mass adoption, and it is the convenience and control mainly. So that's what we were talking about. And then the smartphone competition is there, and vendors are actually refining the head-mounted HMD, what we call the technology, the headsets what we're talking about. So there are like a lot of work going on, and I'm hoping to see more lighter headsets, which will not make people more dizzy. Also for the content, I have seen a lot of new VR companies coming up, but when you look at their content, they're not doing their background research. They're not doing enough research to see what, like, we cannot change from one scene to another scene at a very fast pace. That will make our clients very dizzy. So before we actually deliver and we build the content, a lot of research and background knowledge needs to go behind it. So people can easily open an AR/VR company, but I have seen they lack the background research that they need to do, like how much, what we as a human, we are not adaptive enough to like go from one scene to another scene in like a fraction of a few seconds. So that makes us more dizzy. Like that can actually cause motion sickness. So that's why we need to study a lot. And AR, VR, even if we see, however, nothing is easy, but however you put it, a lot of work needs to go behind it. A lot of research needs to go behind it.
So exactly, can you tell a little bit of exactly what are you working in this mixed reality AR VR space? Like you talked a lot about gaming and a lot of stuff. Exactly what are your solutions and products?
So right now we're actually focusing a lot on education. So let's say for classes, or we are trying to say we have a mixed reality headset, then we can have a heart in front of us. We can actually drag apart the heart, pull the parts out, see how it functions. So the teacher and the students will have like a holographic heart in between you and me, and then they can pull it apart and see how the whole system works. So that's one project we're actually currently working on. We are working on different VR content to fight phobias. So like if anyone has a height phobia, they can actually train their brain wearing a headset not to be scared of the height. So the brain is learning that that you're in a secured space, so you're not going to fall off. But what you're watching is that you're actually training your brain to the height. So that is also another project we are working on. We are actually creating a lot of 4K content videos for training, for market acquisition, like for selling, marketing. We build the content and we give it to our client, and then they can use it in different various platforms. So we do 4K process videos for a lot of companies. We show how one single item is built from scratch to the final product. So those are a few projects that we are currently working on, but we are actually doing our research on how to integrate AR and VR into robotics, because all three are the services that we provide from my companies. So I'm trying to tie up all the services from both the companies and do something more effective in the future, like using robotics and AR VR all together.
Mm-hmm. Very exciting, very cool. So when you talked about, the education platform in mixed reality, do they have to wear the glasses, the students or the teachers? They all have to wear.
Yes.
So and the phobia sounds very cool and interesting. It's like, how, have you done enough research? Is it already working?
Yep, it is working. And not only there, but even like, let's say for coal, we did a content for coal mining. So employee, before actually going into the coal mines, they already know what to expect. So they have their hand movements already trained in their brain. So when you enter a coal mining space, the first fear that you feel, it won't be there anymore, because you already know what to expect. So these are actually working solutions that are being used as we speak now. And even after, not only that, but then for phobias, for pain management, they are doing a lot of VR training, where we actually try to reduce the pain instead of giving them medicine. So a lot of medical research are going on for that too. So AR, VR is a vast field. It's applicable to all kinds of industries. Even let's say like during COVID, we couldn't do like a lot of factory visits. Like if you want to see something here, you want to see a factory sitting here, and you want to see a factory in China, how they operate, we can do a virtual tour for you. So that's also another huge field that we are seeing like a lot of interest in that area, because people, because of COVID, they don't want to travel so far. So you can do like global visit tours of factories sitting in Bangladesh or anywhere in the world, just through your phone or your laptop. So that's another wonderful technology. So I think AR VR is beautiful, but it also does come with its own cons. So, but it's widespread, and it has a strong market. And I think the market actually is expected to reach 105.65 billion by 2028. So just imagine where the market is going. AR VR is the future, and that's what we're trying to focus on.
Wow, that's amazing. And what's happening in the AR VR space in emerging countries, economies like Bangladesh? Do you know anything about it? Like, are you aware of anything that's happening? Because I'm not hearing much about it.
I know. I actually was in Dhaka for almost 8 months, and I'm actually working very closely with the government. So what my plan is to start building headsets that are going to be more affordable by the mass audience, so that we can promote AR and VR. We can use it in different schools for educational trainings, for students who are actually also for games. Like gaming is a beautiful platform again. Like you can teach so much through games because it's interactive, and students do try to learn more if it's more interactive through different kinds of platforms. So if we can make interesting games, which I already proposed to the government, to use AR VR to teach our students, and we can actually have hands-on experience through AR and VR. So we are actually my company is trying to build the headsets at a more affordable price in Bangladesh. So let's see how that goes.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that'll be really a game changer, I think, because I don't think that's much happening in this space, or maybe there's a lot happening in the space that people are working silently. Companies are, and we haven't heard from them because there hasn't been real implementation yet. So
Yes,
there's so much R&D required for this, and there's like so much knowledge, I think, also
maybe,
required. Yeah, to
One
develop.
of the reason could be because we do it only businesses use it, right? Like we haven't approached the mass public yet. Maybe that's why I was mentioning at the very beginning that we don't have that much of awareness about AR and VR. A lot of people till date doesn't even know what these are, and I don't blame them because only tech savvy people who are interested in like more upcoming innovative technologies. These are the people who would take interest in such things, and going out and buying a headset device, if you're not into gaming, or if you don't even know, so if you don't have a reference, you won't have the expectation. So once they try it, they fall in love with it, and then they know about it, and then they dig more about it, right? So until and unless they don't know about it, there won't be a market. So that's why we have to actually create a market first, awareness first, so people know of it, and then you will know if there's a demand for it or not. So we still haven't reached that stage yet, I think, for Bangladesh.
Yeah. So Rumila, I mean, so, we kind of start thinking about virtual reality versus augmented reality. And I think one of the things that you had mentioned was that the availability, of kind of these big headsets is cumbersome, maybe an expensive endeavor for most people. And then for augmented reality, people don't really want to hold their phone. So, who do you think wins out? Which wins out in the end? I mean, is it augmented reality or virtual reality?
It's the mixed reality, the combination of both, because it's going to be like a holographic projection between you and me. We both need to be wearing the glasses. And as I was actually telling Nabila before, that during like for medical trainings, even for education, what we're right now working on is like a heart. Let's say we're sitting like this, and there's going to be a projection of a heart between us, and we can actually take out the parts of the heart, see how each part looks, and we can learn what each the functionality of the heart, just like that. So we can do like a bigger skeleton, and we can study the whole human body through it. So mixed reality is beautiful because you are in touch with reality. If someone walks into the room, if there's other people in the room, you can see it. Where VR is completely enclosed, you have no connection with the reality. So if there's something bad even going on outside your headset, you won't be aware of it because you're into an immersive world. So I'm not completely saying VR is bad. VR is excellent. VR is immersive. VR is brilliant. But my preference is mixed reality because you are in control of both the reality and the immersive world. So it's a beautiful combination, but it's challenging because there's not much content for mixed reality, and as well as the headsets are more than like $2,000 per piece. So they are all the big names are actually working on trying to reduce the price of the headsets. But like let's say Google Glasses, Google Glasses couldn't make it to the market because of certain challenges. But that is something is much more preferable and much more adaptive for the consumers. So those are the things that needs to come in: new technology, great content, because content is very important. Even if we have like light headsets, if the content is not good, people won't get interest in it. So it's like it needs to be, it's both sides of the coin. So good content and a manageable, controllable device, which is not as much as expensive, it will be a good combination to solve these problems.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when Google Glass came out, and I think one of the big barriers was people's privacy concerns and being
Exactly. The
recorded.
policymakers.
Yeah, and people being
Policymakers.
yeah. And then, I think from that point, it was Magic Leap that tried to, come out with, their headset, and they've poured a couple billions of dollars into coming up with some sort of mixed reality headset. It's really interesting. I've heard rumors that Apple is working on some sort of consumer, heads up display, where you're, instead of being on your phone and looking down. And I think that really is probably going to be the game changer. I think if they are able to, kind of get those headsets at a pretty good price point, and, mass adoption happens, then you're absolutely right. We're going to start seeing a lot of those things. So talk to me a little bit about content development. So, we start thinking about trying to get real objects into this virtual world. Does that take human intervention? Can we scan things and, get the same kind of, the depth and texture and realism of a product? And is that more of a strenuous process, or how does that work?
Sam, can I just go back a few to the last question, because there was something interesting that I actually wanted to add to it, because as you mentioned, like the success of AR will depend on the consumers accepting the way the innovators and the policymakers actually allow the applications of this technology to develop. So the current laws and regulations actually for the data privacy, which you actually mentioned, is actually slowing down the adoption of these technology, because as it can prevent them from capturing and actually processing the basic data that's needed for us to work on. So the current state of AR/VR technologies benefits from expanding its implementation and how the policymakers and the innovators have a look at it. And coming back to your question, a lot of work needs to go into the 3D modeling. Like we can design a glass. We are all visual. We are building visual stuff, so it needs to be like picture perfect, something that we try our best to make it look as realistic as it can. But there are barriers, like we cannot, even after doing a lot of sketching, rendering, adding a lot of layers to a polygon that we design it still doesn't get that realistic feeling, but it is improving. So there's Unity, there's Unreal Engine. My favorite is Unreal Engine. We do the modeling in Maya, but Unreal Engine is really good. It actually gives you the realistic look. So yes, we can achieve that optimum level of making it looking real and placing it, but it also depends on which, let's say we built a great content, but if your hardware is like from not the higher end market, it won't be more that it won't give that final look as good as you expect, because it needs to be the high end quality headset and the good quality content. Then you will feel like it's good, because if you have a good content but the headset is not right for that, then because so we have different softwares to build different for different platforms. So for Oculus, for Samsung, we build it in the way the our clients ask for. So it depends on the quality of the content and the quality of the headset that you're wearing. And with the depth sensors on iPhone is pretty good. That's how we do the AR for Snapchat, let's say like for Amazon, whenever we're using our laptop or whatever we use for AR, VR. So the hardware actually plays a very crucial role in how you will be able to see the final product.
How does this all come together? We keep hearing about Web 3.0 and the metaverse. So what do you think the future looks like in terms of AR, VR, and the metaverse, right? And I know Meta, previously known as Facebook, is spending a lot of money and research and development on this. I mean, what do you think that looks like in 10 years from now?
In 10 years, I think it will have a good market, but currently, as of now, as we were speaking, there's not much awareness and people we're not used to it. Like, let's say everything has a barrier. Like even before internet came, we were like skeptical about it. Like, oh, this is not going to happen. Everyone's not going to use it. Now we can't even think of our lives without internet, right? So with different kinds of IoT devices and all these futuristic technologies, I think we will be using metaverse regularly in the future, because in metaverse you can shop, you can play, you can interact, you can do business. They are actually creating what we will say a real virtual world. So I have been studying and following metaverse very closely. The interesting ideas that they're coming up with, if they can actually execute it, it's going to be wonderful. But it is a long journey. It won't happen overnight, and it will take some time for people to adapt to this. But once people adapt to it, metaverse might be just an everyday thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've seen, from an adoption perspective and use cases specifically, where I think there's, obviously a lot of compelling things happening is with, Snapchat filters, TikTok filters, Spark for Meta, I think is really, really interesting. How do you think that changes for the kids these days, right? That are on Roblox, that are on Minecraft. I mean, there's a whole generation growing up with this stuff. What excites you?
So from Configure Bot, which is my other startup, we do educational robots. I was just talking to Nabila regarding it, that we have educational robots that I'm promoting in Bangladesh. It teaches you robotics and Python. So AR, VR can actually literally teach the students much better because it's more interactive. And as I said, like if you use the mixed reality for the heart example, we are actually getting inside the heart and looking around and seeing how it functions, right? So like, let's say a skeleton, like for nurse training. So students are, like, I think the next generation are much more adaptive than we are, because for them, FaceTime is talking on the phone. For us, for our generation, we never thought that, okay, in the future, we'll be able to see the person whom we are talking to. But for them, their expectation starts from that level onwards. So they have already crossed that threshold of experiences and expectations. So I think the more technologically progressive things we throw at our next generation, the more adaptive they are, and we can become bigger that way.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Did I answer your question, Sam?
I think so. Yeah. I just think it's so fascinating, and you kind of think about, so my little boy, right? He's grown up in a totally different world than we did.
Exactly.
Right. And you're right that the expectations are just so much higher. But then I also watch him play Roblox, and I watch my daughter play Minecraft, and the graphics are so like old school. And I look at it and go, wow, like, this is your expectation of like really good high-end graphics, and it's going to be interesting to see. And I also
there
think
is lack of good content, like futuristic content. It is hard to build because and it's not out in the market. That's what I was actually talking about. Like, as the demand is not there, it's not improving as fast as we want it to. If the demand is there, if more people invest more in it, if people are more adaptive towards this technology, then we can build and we can create much more newer stuff. But because it's kind of a little stagnant at this moment, like it is growing, but like those people who are in this market knows that how exponential it is growing, but people outside this market has very like less, like I wouldn't say like they don't know about it, they know about it, but they don't have enough knowledge, or they don't know the exact reference, or they don't have the exact information and accessibility to what is actually going on in the AR VR tech world. So there's a gap between the reality and what we are actually doing. For the people who are already in this business, knows how fast it's going, but for the outside world, it's still like a paradigm shift.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely think so. So you talked a little, and the point that I bring up about that, we don't have to use this, but I think it's a really interesting point, is that I think game developers are going to have a leg up in kind of this new universe, right? Because, those that have built, gaming and environments specifically for the metaverse, I think they're going to be way, way ahead of anybody else, right?
They will.
My experience with like 3D content and building 3D models, whether you're using Maya or Blender or 3ds Max or whatever it might be, is that it's really, really hard to do that at scale, right? And nobody's come up with a really, really, I think, good solution yet of being able to, like, you can capture certain things, right? But then getting that level of detail, I think, is really, really hard. There needs to be a better way, I think, of getting like real world products, into that
up there in the platform. You're so right, because as we build like content, we figure out a lot of challenges. So the software needs to be much more upgraded. I know there like, let's say like like I was actually saying the market is $105 billion market, right? Even if you can concentrate on the content building, for us who are building the content, we have only one or two software that we can work with. There should be actually a lot more softwares, a lot more options for us to work with, but we don't get that. And even in Unreal Engine, porting from one, if let's say a designer worked on Maya, porting from Maya to Unreal Engine is also a challenge. So it's not even easy for one to transform from one software to another software. So there are a lot of challenges. It's a hard field, but it's a beautiful field, which if we can get it work, it's amazing. But there are a lot of challenges. So like, let's say like before, we used to, when we learned coding, when I went to school, when we learned coding, we didn't have libraries. We had to create libraries, right? But now students who learn coding, it's so easy for them. They just call the library and it's there. So
Yeah.
just imagine how we learned and how the next generation is learning, because it's already it's already there. It's the code is written for them. All they need to do is just call the library. Whereas we actually had to build the code, we had to write the libraries down. So that's the same thing. That's exactly where we are stuck now with AR VR. Like these softwares, we're facing a lot of challenges. Maybe in the next 10 years, when you were asking, next 5 to 10 years, we will see much more software which will allow us to explore more and solve the day-to-day challenges that we see while modeling.
Thank you so much, Rudmeela. Thank you again, Sam, for co-hosting with me. It was a pleasure. So I just want to conclude by saying that for decades, we've been looking for ways to bridge the gaps between the digital world and the physical reality. Extended reality concepts like 3D video, VR, and AR have been gradually making their way to the surface of our everyday lives through apps, video games, and online experiences. However, in 2020, the pandemic accelerated our digital transformation to a new level. And McKinsey actually says that this has pushed us around 7 years into the future, which is exciting and scary at the same time. The result hasn't just been the increased adoption of VR and AR, but the evolution of mixed reality too, which Rudmeela mentioned today. In the future, mixed reality will be a genuine transformational technology, delivering benefits like better training, education, better business operations, improved creativity, adaptability, better customer experience, etc. So I just want to thank everyone, and I hope you're watching. And if you like this episode, please like, comment, share, and let us know what topics you would like us to cover next. So thank you, everybody.